September is Lymphoma Awareness Month, and we are committed to spotlighting advancements in treating the disease. This is a personal journey. I was recently diagnosed with non-Hodgkin lymphoma, and I'm learning so much about this type of blood cancer through doctors and fellow patients. And this morning, we're meeting a survivor and diving into a treatment called CAR-T, which saved his life. It was the height of the pandemic. The world was isolating. The word COVID was on everyone's mind. And so for Howard Chu, the word cancer came as a shocking blow.
Yeah, that scared me quite a bit.
Howard had moved from Northern California to Pomona to live in a bubble with his family, but he needed a prescription refilled, so he went to see a doctor. And before he went home, he had a question.
I asked the doctor, hey, what's this bump on my neck?
The next thing he knew, he was staying overnight at the hospital and getting the devastating news.
Mr. Chu, you have stage 4 lymphoma.
Howard was diagnosed with mantle cell lymphoma, a form of the disease that's so rare it only affects 6% of non-Hodgkin lymphoma patients in the U.S. On his scan, you can see bones and lymph nodes riddled with dark spots, showing just how far his cancer had advanced. For Howard, that was a defining moment.
And that's when I had the realization that, oh, this cancer is affecting my whole body.
It was at this point that Howard turned to City of Hope. He met his doctor, Elizabeth Budde, who specializes in treating lymphoma patients.
I had 2 rounds of chemo at first, going the standard, I guess, traditional method.
But the treatment didn't work, so Dr. Budde decided the best thing for Howard would be to put him in a clinical trial for CAR-T cell therapy. First, Howard underwent a blood draw. His T cells were collected, then re-engineered and put back in his body. The hope was that those T cells would then bind themselves to the cancer cells and destroy them. And while this powerful immunotherapy was at work, Howard had to stay at City of Hope on the 6th floor for 30 days.
The staff on the 6th floor here was so friendly, and they became short-term family.
At first, the CAR-T therapy seemed to be a success. His level of detectable cancer cells dropped to around 2%. But his next test brought bad news.
Just wouldn't go away. And then on my next blood draw, it jumped to 20%. So the cancer, in other words, kind of was coming back.
But there was still another reason for Howard to hold on to hope. Dr. Budde and a team of researchers decided to give CAR-T another go.
Dr. Budde decided, hey, let's go and try this again using another formula, and let's try to knock out the cancer fully.
At the time, Howard didn't process that he was the first patient to receive this new form of CAR-T developed at City of Hope. But he did know how to make the most of the 30 additional days he had to stay at the hospital.
So I had kind of planned it. I knew what was going to happen, with the blood draw and the waiting.
This time, success. That cancer cell level hit 0. And for Howard, it was 100% relief.
The joy of taking that breath and going, whew, that second chance is here.
Remember that first scan showing all the dark spots in his bones and lymph nodes? Here's what it looked like after the first round of CAR-T therapy, and then the second.
And the realization of just, how fragile we are, and it's a great thing that they have the research here at City of Hope to find new answers to cure things. Hey, Monica, great to see you. Good to see you. Yeah, thanks for...
How are you?
Howard still has regular appointments to make sure his health is staying on track.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm doing great and feeling good.
That's awesome.
And when he can, he heads up the elevators to the 6th floor to see the people who made sure his 60 days in the hospital were full of hope.
Their strongest medicine is their staff and people that do show care.
And Howard's story is so powerful, and a reminder that cancer treatment is a long journey and not a sprint. Joining me now is Elizabeth Budde, Dr. Elizabeth Budde, who treated Howard. It's so nice to have you here. Welcome. Howard gives so much credit to you and your team at City of Hope for giving him hope and for getting him through this journey and for curing him. That must be such a rewarding feeling.
Oh, it's a great feeling. really the most rewarding moment is really to be there to witness these emotional moments. That's really what keeps us going.
And you know, this development of CAR T therapy, a lot of people haven't heard of it before. When did you start working with CAR T, and how has it changed the way you treat patients?
Yeah, so this is like a dream come true for me. I started to do CAR T-cell related clinical trials research, back in 2006 actually, so 18 years ago. So at the time, the immunotherapy was really at its very early stage. Not many people believe in immunotherapy, but 18 years later, now technology and science has advanced so much, and now we have CAR T is already incorporated into standard care, especially for blood cancers such as lymphoma, myeloma, and leukemia. And there's so many different types of CAR T-cell therapies designed for patients with not just blood cancer, but also solid tumors, lung cancer, breast cancers. So at City Hall, we have more than 80 different trials using CAR T-cells for patients with all kinds of cancers.
And it's really important that patients, that you have patients who are willing to do these basically experiments, right, on these new drugs and these new treatments.
Yeah, exactly. But every new or standard care treatment at one point was a clinical trial investigational study. So clinical trials really allows patients to get tomorrow's medicine much earlier on.
And we explained in the piece, Howard had to go through CAR T therapy twice. Is that common?
It's becoming more and more common. Back in 2017, when the first CAR T was FDA approved, many patients have benefited it. But we also learned that it doesn't really put every single patient into remission. So there's still so much room for us to do and grow. And over the years, we learned some of the resistant mechanisms, why some of the first CAR Ts, why it didn't work, and how to design a better next generation CAR T-cell therapy. So now we know so much more, and this has all been incorporated into the newer CAR T-cell therapies, like the one that Howard received, the BAFR CAR T-cell therapy, which was developed at City Hall on campus. And we also learned how to take better care of these patients.
So is CAR T therapy available to anyone, to any cancer patient?
We would like it to be. However, CAR T-cell therapy is such a specialized treatment. It really requires patients to be at a specialized medical center with all the necessary expertise and infrastructure to make sure the treatment can be delivered safely. But I think that I would really encourage every patient who's interested in getting CAR T-cell therapy really find out where the CAR T-cell centers are located and learn about CAR T-cell therapies and go to those centers such as City Hall for a consultation.
And of course, it is Lymphoma Awareness Month. It is very important to know the signs. When should someone go to the doctor?
Yeah, so the most common signs for lymphoma is feeling tired, and sometimes the patient could have losing weight for unintentionally. There also could be a lot of sweat during the night. So if there are these symptoms, then really I would encourage people not to ignore, but to really go to their doctors as soon as possible. And if a blood cancer is diagnosed, it's really important to go to blood cancer specialists, such as people at City of Hope, we treated close to 1,000 blood cancer patients last year. And we have also provided around 20,000 transplants to those as another way to get these people into remission. And there are many options and clinical trials available for blood cancer these days.
All right, Dr. Budde, thanks for being here, and thank you for all you do. We really appreciate it. And if you'd like more information about lymphoma and links to resources, go to kcalnews.com/cancer.